Sunday. We're gonna spend a lazy Sunday together and do some baking and a Q&A because we've had some requests from the call line come in. We are gonna make cardamom buns this morning. This is my first time ever. I love cardamom buns. Honestly, another reason I want to make them is because they bring me back to Amsterdam and Germany. Because all the cafes that I would go to, I would always get a little one or a little something like that. So that's what we're doing this morning and answering your questions. I love it when I have like absolutely nothing to do. It's snowing outside, my tree's lit, light a candle, put on a little Christmas movie. So I have to take 1 1/4 cup of milk and let it simmer, kind of, well, not really simmer, but get to the temperature of about 110 degrees, and then I'm gonna add in my yeast, which I also look to see that this is ever so slightly no good, but I'm gonna try anyways, and if it doesn't pan out, I mean, I'm going to the grocery store soon, so I could get some fresh yeast and whatever. So in we go with her, and I guess like one of the first and biggest questions I want to start off with that I got was, how did I prepare and plan for taking the RD exam the second time around? Which is such a great question because I feel like I get DMs from so many people now who haven't passed the RD exam their first attempt. It just makes me kind of happy to know that with me sharing my story on the internet, there's so many others who are able to relate, if not like before or even like currently, even then some like a year later or more. You know, I'm still getting DMs from people being like, hey, like I saw that you didn't pass. Like honestly, like seeing your video made me feel so much better because knowing that like I'm not the only one and it's not all just like sunshine and rainbows and da da da. And it can feel so isolating when maybe you're the only one out of your cohort who didn't pass the first time. It's a sucky feeling. Where do I start? Yeah, right after I took the exam, I was so heartbroken, and I think one of the big things that kind of came up was I was like, how did I not do enough? So let me tell you what not to do for the RD exam first. Do not dedicate like 8 hours plus a day to this exam. It does not deserve that much time. Preface, what may not work for me may not work for you, may work for you, and vice versa, you know what I mean. I studied anywhere from 6 to 9 hours. On the weekends, I would study 3 to 4 hours still. I didn't take any days off. During the week, I would study 6, 6, 8, 6, 8. So that was like the split that honestly like wrecked my mental health. I mean, you see my vlogs, what I was doing, and I vlogged everything and all I was doing was studying, honestly. I really didn't work out. I felt like I didn't have time to work out. I would try to go to a class every so often, but then I would feel so much guilt for working out and not studying. And then on the weekends, if I, you know, like met up with friends or went to an event, I also had so much guilt that I was doing this and not, oopsie, oops, I went a little overboard. But I guess back to business. I was a nervous wreck, which as one is, like anyone who's taken some like huge board accredited exam, that's of course like their whole career is like weighted on. So the bar exam, you know, the, oh my God, like any sort of medical nursing, that whole genre even, it's a lot. You kind of put your entire life on hold for this exam, and it sucks when you don't get it that first time around and you're like, God damn, I have to go through another 2 months of studying, or just about. And I was talking to one of my mentors and she was like, oh no, that's way too long. She was like, honestly, I set aside, you know, like a good 2 months of studying, but she was like, I was so lazy, I didn't start studying until like 4 weeks before the exam, like truly looking through stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, so I don't need like 3 to 4 months like All Access Dietetics was saying. And she was like, girl, no, that's so long. And I was like, okay, that does seem long. I started studying January 1st because I wanted to enjoy my time off with family and Christmas and not having to like stress about getting my hours in over the holiday break. So January 1st is when I started, and that's kind of the trajectory. And I had it to be like mid-February that I would take my exam, which in hindsight, like coming up to that date, I still hadn't even read like a good like full section of the book. And yeah, I didn't even get into all of the practice questions that I wanted to. So I did all access dietetics book. I alternated. So like after each chapter that I completed, I would watch the review videos, I would take the quizzes, I would do those like short answer things in the back of that chapter, and then I would move on to the next chapter. So it was a lot of reading. I took some notes, but honestly they weren't crazy. I highlighted a lot. Honestly, looking back, I was like, I don't think that I should have read. I was like so diligent with reading every single line. I was kind of going crazy with like the reading, the note taking, the highlighting, and none of that sit with me. Even though I split it up with, you know, those other things, like I said, it still was not quite clicking for me, especially when it came to the practice questions. If I could give you any word of advice, is really focus on practice questions and learning from those, learning from mistakes within that, than reading like full chapters. If there's videos, podcasts that you listen to, would recommend that. Or okay, again, that's just how I learn. I learn better with like audio, visual. I learn better from mistakes in like answering questions. This is all what I'm doing before my first attempt, so you can kind of gauge what maybe you want to try, maybe you don't want to do. I hope that you don't try a lot of these things, especially the 6 to 8 hours. I didn't have time to work out, and that was causing, you know, like I'm not getting that like activity, those endorphins. I'm sitting and studying most of those hours, unless, you know, like I take a little walk to like pick up something. I walk to a cafe. I tried to romanticize it a bit with like going to study at a cafe at least like maybe like once, twice. Did I buy a coffee every time? No, you don't have to buy a coffee every time, but I feel bad, so I did. Or I'll buy a little something from the store to be like my rent for that table. So I made some eggs in the process over here because if it's gonna be a while, I need to eat, girl. Okay, we're gonna add the dry instant yeast, and it said to let it sit for a few minutes or so. Give it a quick whisk and let it rest a few minutes to dissolve and activate. So I fear I may have to go grab instant yeast, whole milk maybe. I don't know. This is kind of scary. I kind of love the smell of milk and yeast. Like, and it's supposed to smell like bread, and I don't know if that's what's gonna happen. I added a good amount of hot chili oil, and it just makes it so much better every time. Hey guys, the yeast is activating, and I'm so excited about it. Yeah, that is exactly what we want to see. Now I need to get the whole dough situation ready. I am gonna have to like hand mix, or I have one of those like electric ones that does have a dough hook, sort of, but it's small. Oh, if I didn't say this already, I'm following the New York Times recipe. I had posted that I wanted to make like the perfect cardamom bun recipe, and one of my mutuals and had said like, hey, like I've seen this, I haven't tried it myself, but you know, go ahead, like give it a try, let me know how it is. She was kind enough to send me the screenshots. What are we gonna do? We're gonna combine the flour, sugar, butter, cardamom, salt, and the yeasted milk, and mix on the lowest setting until just combined and beginning to form a dough. So this will take about 1 to 2 minutes. Continue on low to knead the dough for about 2 more, and it should take it from looking kind of like shaggy to coarse, smooth, and shiny. Working inside the bowl, give the dough a couple more kneads by hand to bring it together. You can also knead the dough entirely by hand on a work surface or so. It'll take about 8 minutes. I am just so grateful, honestly, that I had such a great support system who listened to me whenever I was feeling, which was weekly, nervous / anxious and insecure about what the outcome was gonna be. And I felt so bad because I was going from like person to person, kind of like within my support system, being like, oh my God, like I am quite nervous. And they were just like, you know, you need to have belief in yourself. And I was like, okay, yes, like I am, like I'm visualizing myself, I'm writing down all of these things. And like, did I believe it? Truly, yes. Like I did believe that I was going to pass the exam, but I also, there's so much to know for the exam that I was like, oh my God, like I didn't get to all the practice questions. I wish I would have. I wish that I would have been like you know, maybe I'd take another week, push it back just like a week and a half or so, and like then from there. But I was also getting so burnt out because I was studying those many hours a day. So needless to say, I'm just like so grateful for like, even if like some of those people were only in there for like that little time of my life, that I had a support system that I could lean on, because I was honestly like a nervous wreck. And you know, so many people were like, it's okay to feel this way, like this is exactly how I felt. And once you pass, once you take the exam, like even my friends who are lawyers, they were saying like, girl, like, I mean, I checked in on them when they were studying and they were not good. They were almost like, we might have been in the same boat, or they might have been even worse than me. All that to say is, I think that you should definitely prioritize not studying more than like 6 hours a day. I think 6 hours is a really good, like you have blocks. So like morning, maybe you like study 3 hours, you like take like 2 to 3 hours off or so, and then come back to it for those other 3. And it was perfect. If you saw my vlog from Germany while I was studying and visiting, I think that you should definitely watch, because I thought that system felt so much better on me mentally. It also helped that I was in like a new place, studying, like so this is in February when I was, you know, like gearing up, 18 days out. And that was like the best I had ever felt while studying, because I was actually able to like retain it and sleep on it and not just like overload my brain. And I was even able to like talk to other people about it, and like also helping teach can help retain. I would prioritize your physical health, your mental health. I did see a therapist throughout this time, but my physical health was not being taken care of to where it usually was, and so that really impacted me. And honestly, like I gained some stress weight during that time. I also wasn't working out. I still was like eating healthy, but they were just like, and I was trying to like romanticize like cooking quick, nourishing dinners, which I did just that. And I always had like a healthy snack, but I felt a little bit like self-conscious because I wasn't really taking care of my physical and mental health as much as I should have been. So that little bit of weight gain kind of like didn't help when I'm in like such a vulnerable state inside my mind. I took like a week and a half off of studying after I didn't pass, just to kind of like gain some bearing. I also was trying to find an apartment, moving during this time, which was also very stressful and hard, because around the same time that I was going to be taking my exam was around the same time that I was, or so I thought I was, supposed to move out of my apartment. So luckily I had like 1 more month in there, so it was like perfect. That gives me time to like dedicate all my time to finding a place. And yeah, then I got back to it. One of my friends who had taken the exam 4 times had sent me her tutor that she had the last time that she took it, because she was like, she helped me so greatly. I think you'll love her. She's a lot cheaper than a lot of those other tutors out there. I will include her name below because I do really recommend her to anyone who asks me what I did. I would recommend Nita. Her name's Nita Paracha, and she is on Facebook, and she hosts like daily Zooms, group Zooms, and so that is what I did. I went back. I wasn't starting from square one. I didn't reread any of the book. All I did was go through practice questions, and I started joining the lives for All Access Dietetics, which happened twice a week in the evening. So they were like live review sessions. So I attended those. The first like 2-3 weeks, I did only practice questions, and I did only about like 5 to 10 a day, and that was it. That was it. And I was kind of like, is this it? Like, surely, like I was like, is someone gonna pop out? And like, I don't know, because I thought it was being like pranked. But that's what, again, I followed what All Access Dietetics recommends. What they may recommend may not be like what works for you, whatever. Let me stop talking and like, actually, we're gonna take an intermission because I just talked so long. So we need to add 4 cups of flour. So I cut back on my studying hours significantly. I started prioritizing, like, you know, meeting up with friends, which I did meet up with friends like a couple times when I was studying. Like, that was good. Did I get a lot of work done? No, not nearly as much as I wanted to. That's what I was doing. The second time around, I was maybe studying max 3 hours a day, which greatly helped, but even then, it was, I don't know if I would say max 3 hours. There might have been like a few days, no, I did. However, I didn't do it by hours. I did it by like, more so like the question section. So the first like 2 weeks, I did all practice questions from All Access Dietetics, and that took me about like a good like 2 hours per like 5 sets of questions. Cause you know, like with their method, they have you like look up everything and like what it means, before you just like blindly like say the right answer. And then I started meeting with Nita. I started with like once a week. Her group sessions, I don't know if like the pricing is still the same, but they were $40, and I was like, hell yeah, take my money. 4 cups, a 4th cup plus 3 tablespoons of granulated sugar. Is this just like a 4th cup now, or no? So I was only working in social media at this time, so I'm very grateful enough to, like, around the month of April, March, I had a good amount of collabs to do, so I spent my time doing that, working out, making time for friends, and yeah, the balance of it all was so much better. My mental health improved so much. I was like quite shocked, and again, I was still kind of like, is this a prank? Come on. Because there's no way that I should be only studying this amount. 6 tablespoons, so that's a 3/4 stick. Thing of butter. I also need one of those things that, like, you know, like probably crunches that butter down. This recipe is literally taking all of my butter, but it's okay because I bought the butter specifically for this. So what I'll do is just, I will honestly grate half of this, because that's like a little hack that you can use if you're short on time and essentially need softened butter. Just grate it. The days that I would see Nita, that would be my, like, what I would do, because like I would be like, okay, I want to aim for, like, once I kind of got into like a rhythm and the practice questions stopped taking me as long, there were some days I would include review videos like every so often and like remember them. Like, I probably watched those review videos like over 15 times, like throughout my total my first attempt, and then my second one. So see how that kind of works? That's cool. For those who don't know, the exam will give you harder questions as you get like more right, and then also like if you're not getting them right, they might like throw you a bone and like give you an easier one to get through. But it is kind of like based off of how you answer. So it can get harder, it can get a little easy. It really depends, and like whatever you're gonna get is gonna be way different than the next person, and because it's kind of tailored to you, and it sees your weak areas, and then it'll keep asking questions in those weak areas. I only reviewed my notes that I took from All Access maybe like 3 weeks before the exam. I just like reread them, and then I also did practice questions from Inman specifically. So I was doing All Access Dietetics like questions, and I think I finished them. They're like extra 250 questions. Finished those, and I was doing All Access until Nita was like, actually, like, you should do Inman. Like, Inman questions are way more similar to the exam, and actually some of those questions on Inman I literally saw on my exam. Hey, how y'all doing? It's 8 p.m. And this is where we're at. I have a hair mask in, face mask on, my big shirt that I spilled my leftovers on. I rolled this out, and let me tell you, like, the dough, guys, I don't think that this is right. I think it's way too dry. It's giving like sugar cookie, and it's supposed to be giving cinnamon roll. My rolling pin, for one, is not really a rolling pin, and I tried my best. So this is going to be my first attempt / fail, and that's okay. I don't want to say fail because maybe I can revive it, maybe I can save it, but it's nowhere near what it should be. to be honest with you. To kind of pick it back up where we left off, towards the end, I started like picking up more. I was doing maybe like 1 to 2 group sessions, and they're on, you know, like mixing that. Maybe just like 2 weeks before my exam, I think I did like 2 group sessions. All I want to say is what we know is like what may work for me may not work for you when it comes to studying. We're all different people, so there definitely are like other tutors out there who are great. Some of my friends have used them. Great, but yeah, that's what I did. Someone else asked like what is like one piece of advice that you would give someone who's about to take the RD exam, and that would be to not stress yourself out with asking so many different people, aka RDs, what you should do. Or what works best, because that is what I did, and I became so sick with anxiety and like, well, this person said that they did this and they passed, but this person said that they did that and passed, and I was like almost frozen, and I never felt like I was doing enough. And that's going to be a normal feeling. You will always feel, okay, not always, you will feel like you're not doing enough at times, but you are. Trust me, I felt like I wasn't studying enough the second time around. I was studying, like I said, like 3 to 4 hours, maximum 4 hours. I never did more than that. I more so did just like practice questions, and then I lived my life. I worked a job. I did all of those things that like you should be doing to help get your mind off of it. And the day before the exam, I did a little photo shoot, and we had fun, went out to dinner with some people, and it was great. The entire day, I would forget that, oh God, tomorrow I'm taking an exam. And it was like hard to believe. It was good though. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm taking the exam tomorrow. Sorry, I'm like trying to fix this. No matter how tempting it can be, do not look at any of your notes, okay? Don't do it. And that is because the studies show that like trying to cram will not help you, and in fact can almost hurt you more, because yeah, it's not going to be retained or whatever. So I prioritized working out, getting outside every day, tanning a little bit, having fun, not worrying about studying. Maybe like, I don't know if I even studied at all on the weekends. I think I like took those 2 days off, and yeah, I did what I did during the week. So that is what I did as a whole for my second time around to pass the RD exam. Okay, now we're gonna make the filling. Yes, I'm gonna use the same bowl because I don't wanna redo it, or I mean make another dish dirty. 2 tablespoons of cardamom, and I think then it's I forgot to add the sea salt to this. I'll add the sea salt to, it's about a fourth cup. Okay, 1 cup of sugar. You guys, I might actually be kind of not sad, but like with anything when it comes with baking, it's science, it's also trial and error, because I may have followed this recipe not really to the T. That's such a lie, because I left it, you know, sit in the fridge for more than 2 hours, because then I had to go to my laser hair appointment, and then I came back, and then it still wasn't quite time to like roll everything out yet, and then by then I met up with my friend for a little like friend date, which was really nice. So all that to say is she's been cold in that fridge for a while, and I did not quite follow the instructions to the T. I just hate wasting ingredients, so even if they're bad, I'm gonna try to bake them, try to eat them. Not quite. Basically just like 2 sticks or so. Let me scrape off whatever other butter I have. I'm gonna use the electric mixer to mix this. I know that the lighting is like super dark, but we whipped that, and then what we will do, okay, I think I know what we're doing now. I'm gonna give this all like a couple plops, spread it out. I'm gonna fold each thing over itself, kind of. Okay, someone had asked this really great question, which kind of ties into what I was just talking about with how do I handle bad body image days, if I still have them. So yes, I'm human. I still have bad body image days. I have days where I don't feel as confident. I have maybe even weeks that I don't feel as confident as I normally do. This year has been very, very hard and emotional for me, to be honest with you. And there's a lot that I haven't shared because I just don't feel like I want to, at least this point in my life. Anyways, for the days that I don't feel quite like myself, I always still try to do something for myself. Maybe I call a friend. Maybe I talk to my mom and dad. I journal. I really love journaling, and putting things down on paper can really help me almost process them internally, and really make me think through them. And I also need to remind myself too, that inner voice that is very common in those with like eating disorders, body dysmorphia, has never been nice. It's kind of like a toxic, I wouldn't even say friend, because why would you want to be, why would you want someone like that in your circle? On these days, I try to give myself a lot more grace. I definitely have them. I definitely know that body checking and like looking at in the mirror far too long is not good, and I won't do that. I don't weigh myself. I don't really care what my weight is because I honestly I'm happy with my body. I'm happy with all the things that it can do, and emphasis on that, focusing on what your body can do and how strong it is. Like the other day I hip thrust 300 pounds, which I can't remember the last time like I did that. And honestly, like low-key, I'm like, I could add more to this if I wanted. And I'm excited to, you know, keep adding to that. Like having a strong body is amazing, especially what we know about like osteoporosis. Yeah, like ladies, we gotta be lifting heavy. The other question was, this is kind of random, but I love it. My friend asked me this. Do I like eggnog? Actually, yes and no. I sometimes like it, sometimes I don't. So, I don't know, I'll have like a little taste. I like to have like the eggnog from Trader Joe's, like that yogurt, like that's kind of nice. You know what I mean? Ooh. Okay, some of this filling is definitely gonna squirt out. Of course, my battery is about to die. Two other popular ones were how hard is it to start kind of like your own business as a newer dietitian? I would say it's quite hard, you know, like finding people to be in a way like your guinea pigs, your first clients, getting referrals, putting yourself out there, marketing yourself. Like, wow, this is gonna be thick. That's hard. So, you know, give yourself grace and stop comparing apples to oranges, which is kind of a reminder to myself. Like, you shouldn't see someone else's success as like lack of your own, but it can be hard in a world where like there's a lot of, you know, just like highlight reels, and like people won't actually show you all of what there like really is. How do I do this again? Guys, this looks horrible. It's got wabi-sabi. Okay, so I'm gonna cut these. I'm gonna have to answer these other questions in a different video, perhaps like a taste test, because my battery's about to die. Okay guys, this is the finished product. She needs a lot of work, and I think I'm gonna let it cool and do a little taste test. But oh, don't look at that. Actually, I think that they were honestly not terrible. This one isn't bad actually. Like, that's about a normal size cardamom bun. You see like the striation, I don't know what the fuck kind of word is. We're learning. I baked her, I think it's just the butter that like really crystallized, but yeah. Okay, I actually cannot wait to give these a little taste test. So they look a little scary on the backside. Trust me, it's the lighting. Okay, I got some of the burnt bottom, The flavor is there. I taste the cardamom for sure. You know, the texture inside isn't half bad. It's not half bad. Like, this is nice and like bun-like, and then it's crispy on the outside. I just can't put my finger on it, but it's missing something. Like, I think that, yeah, the yeast wasn't great and the dough was a little bit too tough. I think I should have added a bit more liquid. Not half bad for my very first attempt. Like, I'm quite proud of myself. I did that. The other question, which honestly is like a loaded question, I feel like I have for so long. I don't know if I'll get to the other ones, and that might have to be like a catch up with me type situation. But one of them had asked like how I like, okay, sorry I'm chewing so much. One of the questions, let me grab my tea. One of the questions was, how did I start working with brands as a dietitian? So I started my Instagram around 2020. When we all got sent home, COVID happened. You know, that was like a different time on Instagram, honestly. Like, I probably averaged 10 hours a day, which is not good. Obviously, like, can't do that now and would never want to do that now. Started posting consistently. Yes, I started posting consistently. Brands want to see that. I also was organically tagging brands and products that I was genuinely using, that I genuinely liked. And that's kind of how I got kicked off. And then, you know, if you post a story, some brand that you tagged in it maybe sees it, or a brand of like a mutual brand will also see that. So it's all kind of connected. Another thing that I did, I reached out to brands. No shame in it. Like, send them a little message, be like, hey. And if it's also like a genuine brand slash product that you would use slash like, I did a lot of gifted stuff when I first got started. So, and I still get gifted stuff, like, you know, where like you don't have to post, but I'm kind of at the stage where I'm not going to do a bunch of content work for a gifted product. Like, I'm a professional in my field, so I should also be paid like one almost. And like, I mean, when it comes to that too, like, that's a lot of free work. Thinking back to all that I was doing with, you know, like, oh, we'll gift you like protein powder and you have to make 3 reels. Excuse me? That actually, at that point, no. You know, we all start from like square one. So never be ashamed for, yeah, just putting yourself out there, like at least getting on the radar. And also like maybe to genuinely like follow the brand, like engage in their content, or all of these other things can just like better help the potential of them noticing you, gifting you something. So those are like my tips of how I became working with brands as a dietitian. I now have management where they set me up with like gifted collabs and paid collabs at that as well. And on that note too, like that I said earlier, getting paid your worth, very important. I'm a dietitian, I'm not just like doing whatever, I'm a content creator, but you know, to my core, I'm a health professional. So I'm not gonna just like read from a script. Like, I know what I'm talking about. So if some brand says like some type of claim, I'm like, I'm not saying that. But there are very good brands out there that I love to work with, and I don't work with a brand that I don't genuinely love or use. One of my other questions was starting the business. Yeah, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's kind of hard, like thinking about, I kind of thought like, oh yeah, there's gonna be people knocking at my door, which like this summer there was, but even you would think with like the holidays, I don't know, times are tough. I also feel a bit weird to like sell yourself, sell your product. Like, I mean, absolutely, I believe in myself. I believe in my knowledge as a dietitian. I know from the many clients that I've had, like, I know what I'm talking about. Of course, I'm ever learning. Like, don't get it twisted. There's always room for growth. There's always, like, I'm a new dietitian, so it's only up from here, essentially. So I'm excited about that. But I tend to compare apples to oranges, aka me, to a successful business that's like, you know, that is further along than I am. And that's okay. And like, I think that there's like a timeline for everything. I'm definitely trying to be better at like marketing myself, putting myself out there, just shooting my shot and whatever will come of it will come of it. I need to be better at that. And that actually reminds me, this week I'm going to send more like outreach emails. Instagram is very much like a highlight reel, so I need this reminder too. And like my mentor was like, Kira, you're literally comparing your ones to people's tens. Like she was like, it took me like 3 years to build my private practice, or you know, like XYZ. I don't know. Like I even talking to my other dietitian friends who have private practices, they were like, yeah, this took me even just like a year to build, like web design wise and all of that stuff. They were also saying like all of the other things, like in terms of, you know, clientele, like it takes a while to build that. So I'm just trying to be patient but also proactive at the same time. I know that I will succeed because I don't give up. At the end of the day, I've never given up on anything, and that's something I'm very proud about. That is something that I really love about myself, is that I'm extremely hardworking and very goal driven, and I don't want to say never satisfied because that kind of sounds wrong, but at the same time, like I do have that issue with like, okay, I hit one goal, okay, what's the next goal type of thing. But I just want to take the time to appreciate where I'm at now and where my future self several years ago would be so grateful to see that like I'm living in the city of my dreams, in the apartment of my dreams. Hello, this window. I won't ever be 26 years old and living in this apartment again. I won't be going through the struggles that I am this year ever again. I mean, well, okay, hold on. You know what I mean though. So yeah, I just wanna really like take that time to appreciate where I'm at, this rebuilding, this new growth, new momentum. It's all going to work out. I know it will, because it always has. And like I said, I'm hardworking, so I will succeed because I know I can, because there's no other option.